Today, we are wrapping up the first chapter of Pirkei Avos, the ethics of our fathers. And we're doing it with three final teachings that all come from one single family line: a grandfather, his son, and his grandson. It's an incredible legacy: 3 generations, 3 lessons, and one really powerful conclusion. Okay, let's dive in. But we're actually going to start right in the middle, with the son, Shimon ben Gamliel. Because to really get what he's saying, you have to understand the man himself. You see, this wasn't just some quiet scholar in a library. This was a man of incredible physical power. During the celebrations in the Holy Temple, he would juggle 8 burning torches at the same time, and not a single one ever touched the ground. So that brings up a pretty big question, right? Why would this master of action, a man who led his people through incredibly chaotic times and was eventually martyred by the Romans, why would his ultimate takeaway from a lifetime spent with the wisest people on earth be quiet? That amazing contrast, that's our starting point for today.
To really understand the son's focus on silence, we've got to go back a generation to his father, the grandfather of this dynasty, Rabban Gamliel the Elder. He's the one who lays the foundation for everything that's about to come.
Let's hear his words in the original Hebrew. Rabban Gamliel haya omer, aseh lacharav, v'histolik min hasafek, ve'al tarbe la'aser omadot.
Now, this is Rabban Gamliel the Elder. We're talking about the grandson of the great Hillel, the president of the Sanhedrin, and the very first sage to ever be called Rabban, which means our master. To give you an idea of his stature, the Talmud says that when he died, the glory of the Torah ceased. That's the kind of person we're listening to here.
So you might look at these 3 instructions and think they're all separate ideas. But the great commentator, the Maharal, he explains that they're all pointing to one single thing. We have an obligation to be clear, to operate with clarity. First, get a rabbi so you have definitive answers. Second, stay away from situations that are fuzzy or ambiguous to begin with. And third, be precise. When you tithe, don't just guess. Good enough isn't actually good enough, because estimation, well, it can lead to all sorts of problems down the line.
And that's the core message here. Clarity isn't just a nice-to-have, it's a moral obligation. A person who was created in the divine image, well, they shouldn't be navigating the world with guesswork and approximation when precision is actually possible. It's all about mastering your mind. All right, so now let's move forward a generation. Let's get back to Rabban Gamliel's son, Shimon, the man who juggled fire. His father taught us how to master the intellect. Shimon is going to teach us how to master the self.
Here are his words in Hebrew. Shimon beno omer, kol yamai gadalti bein hachachamim, v'lo matzati laguf tov ela shtika, v'lo hamidrash hu ha'ikar ela hama'aseh, v'kol hamarbe devarim mevichet.
I mean, just stop and think about what he's saying. He grew up in what has to be the most talkative environment on the planet, among sages who study and debate from sunrise to sunset, and his conclusion? Silence is what's best for the body. He says study isn't the point, action is. And then he drops this warning: multiplying words brings sin.
And this is where the Maharal's insight just makes everything click into place. This isn't just a random thought. It's the perfect companion to his father's teaching. The father taught us how to perfect the Baal Sechel, the master of intellect. The son is teaching us how to perfect the Baal Guf, the master of the physical body. Your intellect needs clarity, your body needs discipline. And that last line, whoever multiplies words brings sin, well, the proof for that goes all the way back to the very beginning of history. God gave Adam one simple command: do not eat. But when Adam told Eve, he added a little something extra. He said, don't eat it or touch it. He was trying to be helpful, building a little fence for safety. But when the serpent pushed Eve and she touched the tree and nothing happened, the whole prohibition just fell apart. His extra, well-intentioned words led directly to the first sin. So we have the grandfather teaching us to master the mind with clarity, and the son teaching us to master the body with discipline and silence. So what's left? The grandson, Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, is going to tell us what it takes to build and sustain a world for all of us. And now let's hear the grandson's teaching in the original Hebrew. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel omer, al shlosha devarim ha'olam omed, al hadin, va'al ha'emet, va'al ha'shalom. Now, if that phrase, on 3 things the world stands, sounds familiar, it absolutely should. This chapter opened way back in the second Mishnah, with Shimon HaTzedek saying the world stands on Torah, temple service, and kindness. This is a deliberate bookend. The chapter opened with 3 pillars, and now it closes with 3 pillars.
So what's the difference? Well, the Maharal explains this so brilliantly. The first set of pillars, Torah, service, kindness, that's the purpose for which the world was created. It's the why. This new set, justice, truth, and peace, this is the structure that actually sustains the world and keeps it from falling apart. It's the how. One is the mission statement, the other is the operating system.
And just for a second, let's look at that middle one, truth. The Maharal shares this absolutely stunning teaching hidden right inside the Hebrew letters. The word for truth, emes, is spelled aleph, mem, tav. That's the first, the middle, and the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Truth is whole, it's complete, it spans everything. And look at the letters. Each one stands on a wide, stable base. But the word for falsehood, sheker, is spelled shin, kuf, resh, 3 letters all clustered together at the end of the alphabet. And each one of those letters balances on a tiny single point. The message is built right in. Truth stands strong. Lies are built to topple over.
So you see, these 3 pillars, they aren't just nice ideals. They're the structural requirements for existence. Justice, Deen, means society has to reflect the precision of creation itself, that actions have consequences. Truth, emes, means integrity is the bedrock of all trust. And peace, shalom, well, that's not just the absence of war. It's the harmony that can only exist when justice and truth are in place first.
Okay, let's pull all the way back now and just appreciate the beautiful, breathtaking arc of this entire first chapter.
You know, it starts at the most epic moment, Sinai, with the giving of the Torah. Right away, it tells us the cosmic purpose of all creation. Then it walks us generation by generation through sages teaching us personal discipline. And it ends right here, with this incredible family teaching us how to master the mind, the self, and finally, what it takes to sustain the world, from divine revelation all the way to a blueprint for society. What a journey.
So what's the takeaway for us, living our lives today? Well, 3 things. First, from the grandfather, be precise. Stop settling for good enough in the things that really matter. Find a guide you can trust. Second, from the son, be silent. You have to realize that action is what really counts, and sometimes the most powerful thing you can possibly do is just not speak. And third, from the grandson, be a builder. Uphold justice, live truthfully, and create peace. Because as we just learned, these aren't just nice ideas. They're the very things the world stands on.
So, Chapter 1 has given us the whole foundation, from Sinai to society. We know the purpose of the world, and we know its structural requirements. But that leaves us with one very big, very practical question. Now that we know all this, what is the right path for me, for you, for a person to actually choose to walk in their own life? And that question is exactly where Chapter 2 begins.